What is up, Watch fam, and welcome to Liquor Run. I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and you are...
I'm Rolly.
From Theo and Harris, and on Fridays, from Monday through Thursday, we talk watches on the YouTube channel, but on Fridays, we talk wine. And because we're so close to Christmas, we're really looking for great Christmas wines, right?
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Before we get into it, we'll do a quick wristwatch check. So what are you wearing?
The same thing I wore last week.
Well,
my handy dandy...
Vempi chronograph.
My chronograph from Vempi.
Yeah,
love you guys.
Yeah. We went to the Vempi store today, right? The brand new Fifth Avenue store. They
Beautiful.
doubled it in size. That place is so terrific. I have gone very public, very on the record, saying that buying new watches, especially in the high price range at $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 price, it's incredibly stupid. We thought about this before. Just the prices are so high that it loses some of the value. But when you walk into Vempi, it's almost hard not to be romantic about shopping in a place like that. That is so polite, and I'll kiss your ass. Not like, how can I help you, Mr. Zeron? It's just kind and just, oh my God, I remember you guys from how long ago was it? Welcome to the new store, blah 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 blah. It's just so friendly. Anyway, I love being there. I guess my watch, I'm wearing a vintage Rolex 1601, one of my absolute favorite vintage watches. It brings an incredible amount of value. This one's actually in two-tone and a wide boy dial and hands. If you don't know what wide boy is, many people have a hard time understanding. Wide boy is a full set, has to be dial and hands, where they're both fatter. They're wider indices and hands than regular sticks. So you can actually put a photo of wide boy and a stick dial next to each other. It's a super important kind of like dial configuration for vintage date just and date dates if you're into vintage Rolex, and finding one with both original hands and dial, incredibly important. So that's it. That's what we're wearing.
I grew up being called wide boy. I don't know why.
Let's get into the show. So what did we do last week? We did an American wine, Pinot Gris.
Pinot Gris.
Pinot Gris.
From Oregon.
How tasteless of me to pronounce the S. I'm gonna get ripped up by all
Adele
these.
Time.
So yeah. So it was delicious. Check the episode out after this. But today we're gonna try something red. So what are we trying today?
We're gonna take a trip down to the Andes Mountains.
Okay.
And we're gonna stop in Chile.
Awesome.
For some Cabernet Sauvignon.
Beautiful. And
we're gonna be drinking Chateau Los Boldos Cabernet Sauvignon.
Cool.
And this is gonna, I tell you, I've heard some really nice things about these guys. So
I picked it up.
We're gonna give it a shot. It's 2014.
Picked it up at Wine Library for $14. If you're a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan, that is the Wine Library. So it's super cool. I think it should be readily available, but I don't know. We'll put some links in the description below to the wine, and that's it.
This wine was rated in 90 points by Wine Spectator. I don't like to look at that, and in fact, I try to stay away from that. I like to build my own judgment. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. But that's what that's what makes it fun, right? We try to be respectfully objectively subjective.
Yeah.
So let's.
I think what's cool about this whole thing that we're doing here with the whole Christmas wine pairing is, like we said in the last episode, this is an Italian household. My dad's Spanish, my mother's Italian, but we do Italian Christmas. We do the 7 fish, which we went into last episode about why and that whole historical thing. But it really is at this point much more so a cultural tradition, and we're trying to pair wines with it. But both weeks we haven't even done an Italian wine. We did an American and now Chilean. So you don't have to go Italian through and through.
No,
I don't think that a Chianti would do too well on Christmas per se, right? With all the fish, right? The gold label. I don't think it would work.
No, it's funny. We're in America, right? And we're a melting pot, so it's kind of nice to blend all these different flavors from different parts of the world.
Let's do it.
That's what makes it fun. Here we go. So this is a Cabernet Sauvignon. Like I said, we're going to talk a little bit more about Chile. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Cachapoal Valley.
Wow.
This is Inky.
Wow.
This is Cabernet.
Beautiful. We have some pretty heavy lights right here, and I'm even having I can't see through it.
Okay, really I hope you guys can see that. Okay.
Make sure you get the label. It's Inky. You're right. What should you be? What are you expecting on the nose?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking. A lot of ripe fruit, which is classic to Cabernet Sauvignon. Mm-hmm. Cherries, strawberries, maybe plum.
Okay.
Perhaps some spice. We'll see. I haven't smelled it yet. I'm going to give it a little bit of a whirl here, get some air in it, and let's check it out. Yeah, and 100%. So typical Cabernet. Cabernet. Classic familiar smells and scents. Yeah, berries. Plum, like
Yeah.
a very ripe plum. Remember, during the summer when you're biting into that very ripe plum,
That's what you're
and you
smelling
see
here.
all the
Drip
juices
down, yeah.
dripping down, and you smell that. That's what it smells like. Here we go.
Awesome.
So let's give it a. Wow. Okay, so Cabernet done very nicely. Why? Because this wine has very mellow tannins. It's almost velvety, voluptuous. It's not grabbing your mouth like some other wines, and it doesn't have a very intense alcohol. It's a very, very balanced wine.
Really?
I like
I'm
it.
getting a lot of alcohol.
See, I'm not.
Really? That's funny. Do you get chalkiness at the end? Are you getting a chalkiness?
Well, that's the dryness. That's
Okay.
tannin.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, I like it. I like it, and I'm not the biggest Cabernet Sauvignon fan, guys. So I will shy away from a wine like this. I typically like a wine that's a little bit more old world and more on the acidic side. But this is a really nice wine.
Yeah, it's one of those things. We were drinking the white before, so I think I have a much harder time transitioning from white to red. But I think I'm coming around to it a little bit more. And it's funny, it really does in a lot of ways taste the way it looks. It has that kind of like that inkiness. It's dry, but I don't think it's not too big.
Yeah.
But it has that. I think it does have a little bit of that dry grip.
It does.
But
it does.
But I think that the alcoholic content there is kind of going away on me. In the beginning, I had it heavy, but now not so much.
Let's talk a little bit about where it's from.
Cool, let's do it.
So this wine, as I mentioned before, is from Chile. Chile has a very long history of winemaking, just like Argentina. Why is that? Well, number one, the Spanish monks brought during the time when the Spaniards were conquering the Americas, they brought the Vitis vinifera, right? The classic grapes over from Europe to the Americas. But also you had the migration of Italians, Germans during World War II. So there was a high influx of Europeans in South America, probably fleeing the effects of the war, the Nazi Germany, etc. So a lot of roots planted back then. They brought the grapes, so they got into the wine business. Yep. The Andes Mountains. There's probably no better climate in the world for wine than Chile.
Wow.
It is incredible. They get the right amount of rain. They sit on obviously on the Andes range, so there's tremendous drainage. They have the winds coming in off the Pacific. Mm-hmm. It's the perfect storm for wine. Yeah. So important to know that these guys in particular don't just do Cabernet Sauvignon. They do Chardonnay, they do Carmenere, they do Syrah. I haven't had any of them, but if the Cabernet is as good as the other varietals, this is a really nice winery.
It's a good winery.
It's a good winery. I'm going to pair this wine because I know you're going to ask me, but I'm going to tell you, prime rib. If you guys are doing Christmas Day and you want, how much do we pay for this wine?
$14.
$14. You're going to do prime rib. This one is fantastic. So you do a nice roast. Yep. With some popovers and potatoes, vegetables. Beautiful. You can absolutely put this wine on the table, and you're looking pretty damn
like
good.
It'll put up next to that.
It does.
With a meal like that, with a heavy meal like that, that could ruin a wine. I mean, a wine that's not built. What I'm saying, the meal could stomp over a wine.
Absolutely.
But in a wine like this, it'll actually beef itself up, and I think it'll fight the good fight, and complement a meal like that. I think you're absolutely right. I'm liking it more and more though. It really tastes.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and I you'll know if I don't like a wine. I think a few weeks back we did a wine from Israel that I just couldn't get. I couldn't dig. I just couldn't wrap my palate around. It just didn't do it for me. This does it for me. And again, I'm not a Cabernet lover, at least in the New World style. But this wine is definitely really good. Okay, cool. So I can understand why Wine Spectator rated the wine at 90. It has very good balance. I didn't find an imbalance with alcohol. I did find it pretty well balanced.
Cool.
So thumbs up,
Yeah.
Chateau Los Boldos from Chile.
Super important.
Muchísimas gracias,
Muchísimas
amigos.
gracias. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Salud.
Thank you guys so much for watching Liquor Run. Remember to pair this wine with something a little on the heavy side, a little mashed potatoes, a little prime rib, and that's it. Enjoy, guys.